4 payments of $50. That's it. No interest, no credit check, no debt. Or at least, that's what it feels like. But right now, millions of Americans are quietly drowning in a type of debt that doesn't even feel like debt. It doesn't show up on your credit report the way a credit card does. It doesn't send you a scary statement at the end of the month. It just sits there, split into invisible little pieces, until one day you open your banking app and you have no idea where your money went. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your brain lets this happen, and more importantly, how to make sure it never happens to you again. Because this isn't really a video about buy now, pay later. It's a video about how easy it is to spend money you don't have without ever feeling like you're doing it. Stick around till the end, because I'm going to show you the exact question you can ask yourself in 3 seconds that kills this trap dead. Let's get into it. Let's call him Alex, 28 years old. Alex grew up watching his parents deal with credit card debt, the phone calls from collections, the minimum payments that never seemed to shrink the balance, the stress that lived in that house for years. So Alex made a promise to himself: no credit cards, ever. For a while, that promise worked. Alex used a debit card for everything. No debt, no interest, no stress. Then one day, Alex is checking out online for a pair of shoes, $200. And right there at checkout, a new option appears. Pay in 4. 0 interest, $50 today, then 3 more payments every 2 weeks. It doesn't feel like a credit card. It doesn't feel like debt. It feels like a discount almost, a smarter way to shop. So Alex clicks it. A month later, Alex does the same thing for a jacket, then a plane ticket, then a laptop. Each time, it's just 4 small payments. Each time, it feels harmless. 6 months later, Alex has 11 open buy now, pay later plans across 4 different apps, and no idea how much total money is actually owed. Not because Alex is careless, not because Alex is bad with money, but because of something that happens in every single one of our brains, something companies have studied for decades and built entire business models around. This is that story, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at 4 easy payments the same way again. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the pain of paying. I want you to really sit with this one, because it explains almost everything about why we spend the way we spend. Here's the idea. Every time you hand over money, cash, swipe a card, click buy, your brain registers a tiny moment of loss. It's not dramatic, it's not even conscious most of the time, but it's real and it's measurable. Researchers have actually shown that paying with cash activates pain-related regions in the brain more than paying with a card does. That's part of why spending feels so much easier when you tap a card instead of counting out bills. Now take that idea and push it one step further. What happens when you don't pay $200 once, but instead pay $50 4 separate times spread out over 6 weeks? Each of those 4 moments is small enough that your brain barely registers it as a loss at all. $50 doesn't feel like money. It feels like pocket change. And here's the trick. Your brain doesn't add those 4 moments together and go, wait, that's $200. It processes them as 4 separate, forgettable, tiny non-events. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence in how these apps are designed. Companies spend enormous amounts of money on behavioral research to figure out exactly how to make spending feel as painless as possible, because the less pain you feel, the more you buy, and the more they earn. Buy now, pay later isn't just a payment method. It's an anesthetic for the part of your brain that's supposed to stop you from overspending. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this just a credit card? Same trap, different name? Not exactly, and this is the part that makes it more dangerous, not less. A credit card gives you one bill, one number, one statement at the end of the month that says in black and white, here's everything you owe. Even if people ignore it, eventually that number is sitting right in front of them. Buy now, pay later doesn't work like that. There is no single bill, there's no unified dashboard, unless you go out of your way to build one yourself. Your $50 payment for the shoes is on one app. Your $40 payment for the jacket is on another. Your plane ticket installment is on a third. Each one shows up separately, feels separate, and gets mentally filed away as separate. This is called fragmentation, and it's one of the oldest tricks in behavioral psychology. When you break a large cost into small, disconnected pieces, people dramatically underestimate the total. Studies on subscription services show the same effect. People wildly underestimate how much they're spending per month across all their subscriptions because each one feels small and separate. Buy now, pay later takes that same fragmentation trick and applies it to actual purchases, not just subscriptions. And because there's no single statement forcing you to confront the full number, a lot of people genuinely don't know their own total balance across all their plans, not because they're irresponsible, because the system is built so that number never has to appear in one place. Let me introduce you to someone else. We'll call her Maria. 31 years old, works full-time, no credit card debt, no student loan drama. On paper, Maria is doing everything right. But Maria has a habit most people watching this probably share. She doesn't use one buy now, pay later provider. She uses three. One built into her favorite clothing app, one that pops up at checkout on a marketplace site, one tied to her grocery delivery service. Each one on its own looks completely manageable. $22 here, $35 there. Nothing that would make Maria panic if she saw it by itself. But nobody sees it by itself. Nobody looks at their entire financial life through the lens of just one app. Maria's real position, the one that actually matters, is the sum of all three. And that sum is a number Maria has genuinely never calculated, because no single screen on her phone has ever shown it to her. This is the part I really want you to hear. Maria isn't unusual. Maria is, statistically, incredibly common. Using multiple buy now, pay later providers at once has become completely normal, which means the fragmentation problem from part 3 isn't a rare edge case. It's the default experience for a huge number of people using these apps today. Here's where this gets uncomfortable. Buy now, pay later isn't landing evenly across the population. Research has consistently shown that people who are already financially stretched are the ones leaning on these plans the most. Think about what that means for a second. This isn't a tool people are using because they have extra room in their budget and want convenience. For a lot of users, it's the opposite. It's a sign that money is already tight, and splitting a purchase into 4 pieces is the only way to make it fit. And once someone is in that position, the plans start stacking. One plan for groceries when the paycheck is running low, another for a car repair that can't wait, another for back-to-school clothes. None of them individually feel like a crisis. Together, they quietly become a second, invisible form of debt sitting on top of whatever else someone already owes. There's also a generational piece to this. A lot of younger consumers grew up hearing credit cards are dangerous from parents, from financial influencers, from their own bad experiences. So there's a real distrust of traditional credit. But that distrust doesn't make someone immune to debt. It just means the debt shows up wearing a different outfit, one that doesn't trigger the same alarm bells. That's the uncomfortable truth at the center of this video. The exact people who worked hardest to avoid the credit card trap their parents warned them about are, in many cases, walking into a version of the same trap, just one that's been redesigned to not feel like a trap at all. I want you to actually do something right now, not just listen. Pause this video for 10 seconds, open your banking app or open the apps you use for these kinds of payment plans. Count how many active installment plans you currently have open. Not the total dollar amount, just the number of separate plans. Got a number in your head? Now drop that number in the comments. I guarantee you, some of you are about to be surprised by your own answer, and that's exactly the point of this exercise. The moment you make something visible, it stops having power over you the same way. That's true for calories, that's true for screen time, and it's absolutely true for debt spread across multiple apps. If your number was 0, genuinely, well done, you're ahead of most people watching this. If your number was 3, 4, 5 or more, you're not alone, and you're not doing anything wrong by being here. you're doing the smart thing, which is confronting it. Let's talk about the business model for a minute, because understanding who profits and how tells you everything about why these apps are built the way they are. You'd think, since there's no interest, these companies must not be making much money off individual users. But that's not really where the money comes from. A large share of their revenue actually comes from the merchant side. The stores themselves pay a commission on every sale made through the plan, similar to a credit card processing fee, but often higher. The store is happy to pay that fee because Pay in 4 measurably increases how much people spend per order and how often they complete a purchase instead of abandoning their cart. Then there's the fees charged when a payment fails or is missed. On their own, these are usually smaller than a traditional credit card late fee. But remember Maria, with 3 separate providers. A missed payment on one plan is a small fee. A missed payment on 3 plans in the same rough week, because paychecks and due dates rarely line up perfectly, starts adding up in a way that catches people off guard. None of this makes these companies villains. This is a completely legal, increasingly mainstream business model, but it does mean their incentive is for you to use the plans more, spend more per checkout, and open new ones easily. Their incentive is not to hand you a dashboard that makes your total debt easy to see. That dashboard, if it existed, would work against their own growth. So understanding that helps you understand why you have to build that visibility yourself, because it's not coming from the app. Let's zoom out from these individual stories and look at what's actually happening across the country right now, because this isn't a small, niche issue anymore. Household debt in the US has been climbing, driven not just by mortgages and auto loans, but increasingly by these smaller, fragmented forms of borrowing. At the same time, inflation has been putting real pressure on everyday costs. Groceries, gas, housing, all rising faster than a lot of paychecks. That combination is exactly the environment where Pay in 4 thrives. When money feels tight, a payment plan that lets you get something today and worry about the rest later becomes incredibly appealing. And it's not staying niche. What used to be an option mostly for clothing and electronics has expanded into groceries, plane tickets, even everyday essentials. When you can split a grocery bill into 4 payments, the line between purchase and debt basically disappears. None of this means buy now, pay later is some evil scheme designed to ruin your life. These companies are running a business, and a legitimate one. But it does mean the responsibility to see the full picture of your own spending falls entirely on you, because the system, by design, isn't going to hand you that full picture automatically. Before we get to the framework that fixes all of this, let's kill 3 myths fast, because I guarantee at least one of these is something you've told yourself. Myth 1. It's not debt because there's no interest. Debt isn't defined by interest. Debt is simply money you owe that you haven't paid yet. Zero interest debt is still debt. It still has to come out of a future paycheck that now has less room in it than you think. Myth 2. I can handle it because each payment is small. This is the exact trap we spent the first half of this video breaking down. Small individually does not mean small in total. That's the entire mechanism. Myth 3. This won't affect my credit. This is shifting. Reporting practices around these plans have been evolving, and missed payments can absolutely still hurt you through collections, even when the plan itself isn't reported the same way a credit card is. If you caught yourself nodding along to any of those 3, comment which one hit closest to home. I read these, and I want to know which myth is the most common one out there. So how do you use tools like this without falling into the trap? I'm going to give you 3 things, simple, practical, and you can start using them today. First, the 3-second question. Before you click Pay in 4 at checkout, ask yourself one thing. Would I still buy this if I had to pay the full amount right now in one payment? If the answer is yes, go ahead. The payment plan is just a convenience. If the answer is no, if the only reason you're comfortable buying this is because it's broken into small pieces, that's your answer. That's your brain telling you that you can't actually afford this right now. Second, build one single list. Take 5 minutes right now if you can, and write down every single buy now, pay later plan you currently have open across every app, the amount, the next due date, all of it in one place. This defeats the fragmentation trick directly. The whole reason this works on your brain is that the total number never appears anywhere. The second you write it down yourself, that spell breaks. Third, set a hard limit on open plans. Decide in advance, before you're standing at a checkout screen, how many active plans you'll allow yourself to have at once. 1, 2, whatever number feels responsible for your income. And when you hit that number, the next purchase has to wait or has to be paid in full. This turns a vague, always available temptation into a clear, simple rule you don't have to renegotiate with yourself every single time. None of these are complicated, but complicated was never the problem here. The problem was invisibility. Every one of these 3 steps does the same basic thing. It makes the debt visible again, in a system that's specifically designed to keep it invisible. Let's go back to Alex for a second. After that moment of realization, 11 open plans, no idea of the total, Alex did exactly what I just described. Sat down, wrote every single plan on one page. The number was uncomfortable to look at, but it was also the first time in 6 months Alex actually knew the truth. From there, Alex set a rule, 1 open plan at a time, and only for something Alex could genuinely afford in full anyway. Within a few months, the number of open plans dropped from 11 to 1, then to 0. Maria did something similar. She consolidated everything onto one page, realized 2 of her 3 providers were completely unnecessary, and closed them out entirely. The point of both stories was never that buy now, pay later is evil, or that Alex and Maria were foolish. The point is that this can happen to anyone, because it's not built on a flaw in your character. It's built on a flaw in how your brain processes small, separated payments. Once you understand the mechanism, you're no longer at its mercy. If this video changed the way you're going to look at your next checkout screen, that's genuinely the whole reason I make these. The goal was never to make you scared of spending money. It's to make sure that when you do spend, it's a decision you actually made, not one your brain made for you without you noticing. Drop that number from earlier in the comments. How many open plans did you find? And let me know which of those 3 myths hit closest to home. I read every single one, and honestly, some of the most interesting conversations on this channel happen down there. If you want the next one of these, breaking down the psychology behind another everyday money trap, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.